Hi, and welcome to a new video for Aperture Speaks. And today's video is actually going to be creating a HDR panoramic and showing you my way of how I do this. So, first of all, we have like all my bracketed exposures for my panoramic. I've done my panoramic actually in portrait. I have this like two ways I do my panoramics. One is to do it in a series of portrait shots going across, and the other one is to sort of have like a grid sort of in my mind, and then photograph columns. And rows in the grid, I generally go in columns then, and I create like three big, what would be the portraits, and then you sort of put it together. There's a bit of pros and cons about each one, each way of doing it, and I just, whichever one I feel is better. Here I was shooting some in the mountains, so I felt the portrait one would be a lot easier, especially for shooting, and then for coming back and processing now. So what I did when I was shooting my images is I had these images were shot and bracketed exposures, +2 and -2. So you can see here, this is my normal exposure, this is the shadow exposure, this is the underexposure, and this is the overexposure. So I'm just going to do it with 3 exposures, and I'm going to use Photomatix for the HDR conversion, and then I'm going to use Photoshop to actually stitch the images together. So the first thing that I actually do is I actually go and look at the shots, and I choose the ones which is generally the center, which very has the balance between sort of like the darker side of the images and the lighter side of the images. So the first thing I do is I'm just going to take these 3 images and put them into Photomatix. And the reason I'm only doing 3 images to begin with is because these are just going to be the images which will create a preset for when I do a batch setting later on. So this is the first bit here. So we're going to click OK. And click the crop align images. So the first bit here is align source images. So this basically just makes sure the images are aligned together. It says cropped align images. Actually, we could have that one clicked, I suppose. Include perspective corrections. Moving ghosts. I'm not going to use the selective deghosting tool because obviously this is just going to be for my preset. So it's going to do automatic. Set it quite high. There are some trees there. Parameter operations. Yep, remove that and reduce the noise. So click OK. Okay, so this is now the HDR image now open, and now it gives me some time just to go through and process it. What I would like to do is generally start with a preset and then work from that point. That's how I generally work. The same way that I work in HDR effects as well. And of course, with Photomatix, there are loads of different type of effects that you can choose to really create some quite nice, interesting, some quite nice stylized images. I just really want a pretty straightforward, pretty basic adjustment. That's really what I'm going to go for here. So photographic looks quite nice. I quite like that, but I also like the default setting. But I wish there's more saturation. That's really what I'm going to get at here. So probably put the color saturation up. Maybe the strength a little bit. A contrast adjustment. Medium there. Okay, that's quite nice there. I don't want to play around the black points and the white points too much, and I quite like the bell curve, which you're getting in the middle. So yeah, so that actually looks quite nice for just the base, and that's really what I'm going for here. it's just a base edit, because really I'm going to do a lot more editing in Adobe Photoshop. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to save the preset. I'm just going to call it Photo Merge, and then I'm just going to rename this. That's the last time I did a panorama, so 1308 23 13. No, 1308 13. Okay, interesting. That's today's date, so that's yesterday's date. And I'm just going to click process. Okay. And now, of course, you can do, add some finishing touches to the color, for sharpening, but I'm just going to click I'm done. Okay. So I've now got a preset. So what I'll do is I'll close that down. Say images. Nope. So now I've closed that image down. I'm just going to go here and I click automate and batch processing. Remove all these files from the last one. And what I'm going to do is select individual files. Select files. Now it's brought me back into the up here. So I'm going to quickly search for the files that I want. And they are. And this is the important bit to remember. When last time I did this, I did it all a little bit wrong. So I need 4814 to 4851. Yeah. And the first one is 4841, 4841, 4858. So it's good to know what your files are. So you click open. We're going to do tone map. And 3. Then just change that in a moment. Okay. And then here, what you can do, if you look here, is merge the HDR 32-bit tone map with detail enhancer. So that's what I'm going to do. Here's the settings you can have, and of course here is my preset that I just made. So click OK, and that's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Run, and then I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, so Photomatix is now, Photomatix is now done its thing, and so really what it's done is it's created a new folder with the images inside. I had a little bit of a teething problem with it, but apart from that, all is okay. So actually, looking just at the images, they look pretty well exposed. So I think they'll go quite well together into this panoramic. There's no sort of major shifts anywhere. So we'll just put those together now. So what I'm going to do is just select them all and go Tools, Photoshop, Photo Merge, and I'm going to go Auto. I'll just put these two on as well. So probably not remove the. Yeah, we'll just try and see if we'll remove the vignettes if we can. And we'll click OK, and we'll watch this go. So what I'm just doing here is just speeding up the video. This is mainly because it's about an hour process, and I really don't like to have my videos too long. So the first thing I did was I just did an adjustment to the actual lens perspective using the lens correction tool. Once I got the image all together as a smart object, I then cropped the image and I did a little bit of healing using the heal content aware tool. The patch content aware tool, and just sort of corrected at the corner. I then went into Alien Skin and Exposure 4 and chose a sort of color toning that I quite liked, and then I used Topaz Adjust to just sort of bring out the details, not really affect the color too much. And then I just began working on the image, making slight adjustments. One of the major areas I adjusted was actually in the mountain range itself. Even though I used a polarizer on my lens, there was still a little bit of haze up into the mountains. So this one I'm just trying to correct now, like darkening it was the tree area, maybe just like giving a little brightness to what is like the rock area, and also boosting the saturation and darkening that areas as well. A lot of problems around this tree. I never really like this tree too much. And so I'm just sort of trying working around the image, really just trying to create a nice tone for the image, really. And then I just started doing some dodging and burning. The dodging and burning I did to the background there, and reworking into the foreground. Also, just correcting a few little color shifts as well, using adjustment tools like the photo filter, using the colors adjustment just to make slight brightness adjustments to a few different places. The foreground wasn't as contrasted as the background, so I just wanted to boost that up a little bit. I also made a separate adjustment for the cloud, which is bearing over the mountain as well, just shifting that blue as well. And of course, as I'm doing this, I'm really thinking about the final image. I've saved the image here. This is just before I was going to do the noise reduction. The reason I saved is because I've done quite a lot of adjustments, and I thought it was about time I saved. Even though Photoshop does have a pretty good recovery system now, it's good to save. I used Topaz denoise instead of the normal program I use, and the reason I did this was that I quite like denoise, especially when it's from a HDR image. It has a very good sort of grasp on the reducing the noise. I actually then decided to recrop the image. The reason I decided to recrop the image was because, for me, it didn't really have a balance to it. It was like a sprawling mountain and this random gate. And I wanted just to try and tighten it up a little bit, just to still give it quite a nice look. So you still have that nice lead in there. Here I'm just doing a few final little corrections to the mountain range. There's a chromic aberration there, and that's really everything I did there. So this is the final image. It looks really quite nice in my opinion. I really prefer that tighter crop. I don't know about any of you. If you can let me know in the comment section below. But I felt the wider image in the editing it was a bit too loose, and this sort of just really firmed it up. You got the fence as the foreground interest, probably just dropping on the bottom third into it's the bottom third and it's the middle to right third for the composition. You've got the path leading in, and then the mountains sort of dropping below. I really like the shadow onto the mountains because of the cloud sort of creating that shadow, and that actually looks quite nice in my opinion. It's not too contrasted, it's not too HDR-y, but it needed to have this technique just to really give it a good solid colors and solid lighting. So there we are. I hope you enjoyed the video. I try to keep it short as I can, and I hope you've learned something about creating a HDR image, and especially creating a HDR image as a panorama and using the automate function on Photomatix. If you want to keep in touch and keep track of what I'm up to, you can follow my blog, which is aperture64.wordpress.com. You can catch me on Twitter, which is @aperture64, and you can also catch me on Facebook, which is facebook.com/aperture64, but this time spelling out aperture64. Until next week, have a good week. Bye-bye.